This indicator will help you achieve the same kind of results and close trades with a big profit thanks to large, safe price movements. Next, I'll show you all the entry points, how to work with this indicator, and you'll be able to use it in practice. And as a result, you can earn more than 10 or even 20% on your deposit in just a few days. Let's get to the video. First of all, we need to patiently wait for a really good entry point. This is actually pretty easy to do with our alligator indicator, which is quite reliable. In other words, we'll only be working with upward and downward trends, and we won't be trading during sideways movement. And we'll be conducting trades when the price comes right into our alligator at the moment right now. Next, I'll show you more specific entry points since there are several of them here. So, as a result, we can take anywhere from 5 to 15 or even 20 points, even on the 1-minute chart in a non-volatile market. I take my very first profit, $577 exactly. Now, let's talk about entry points and how to actually use them. Look, we'll only initiate trades specifically when the price comes right into the alligator exactly as we planned. So if it doesn't touch our boundaries, if it's somewhere above or has gone outside the alligator, we skip those situations. In other words, we will only take action and work when the price comes into our alligator. And ideally, the price should be between the green and orange lines, for example. That would be the best possible point of entry. Exactly this range. Accordingly, for a downward move, it's exactly the same story as before. When the price, let's try to find a clear and obvious downtrend on this particular pair. When the price is going down, then at the moment when the price comes between the green and orange lines, that's our best entry point, which gives the highest win rate. If the price is moving somewhere outside the indicator, we don't open any trades. So we only work within it. If, for example, the price breaks through the orange line, we can enter a trade on that kind of impulse. And later, we'll talk in more detail about those small situations that are better to skip. Let's look at another practical example. Here on the EUR/AUD pair, the price enters our zone. So look, we have an upward movement going on. First, you need to ask yourself whether we have an uptrend, a downtrend, or neither. If there is, that's the first point. The second point is that the price should move between the green and orange lines. That's the case here. So accordingly, I open a trade in the direction of our movement for 1 or 3 minutes. So all the factors lined up for me and I opened a buy trade. I'll show you later in this video which candles we work with and what time frames we use. So make sure to watch until the end. And of course, we'll set up this indicator so you can make the exact same trades. Because in the standard video, it have completely different settings that don't work for this kind of fast trading. We can see almost 20 points in the moment. We are watching this trade, and next we'll move on to the platform settings and indicator settings. This was a great trade that brought me a nice profit, $690, which I'm adding to my balance. Now let's talk about the platform settings. We need to use regular Japanese candlesticks with a 15-second time frame, and we should use either 1, 2, or 3 minutes. That is, a range from 1 to 3 minutes is enough for us. But if you use 3 minutes, then use 30 seconds. Basically, these settings will work specifically for this time frame. If you use a time frame of 1 to 2 minutes, then 15-second candles are generally considered suitable. To get the settings for this indicator, you simply need to follow the link in the description right now. There will be a link to our Telegram channel, and right there in the channel, you'll find the settings for this indicator waiting for you. So go ahead and check it out, and we'll also duplicate these settings there. Grab them for yourself. Use them, and then you'll be able to achieve over a 90% win rate. In short, the link is in the description, our Telegram channel. All you need to do is just go there and get the settings, so make use of these settings. But let's move on. If you see a situation like this, you should skip it. In other words, this is an unsafe situation when the price is already broken out. Here, you need to give it some time to settle, like letting the alligator rest, so that at least some time passes and you get clear entry points. So if the price is already broken through the alligator, that's it. We don't work with it anymore. By the way, these settings are only for the regular market. They don't work for OTC. If you see a situation where the price breaks through our alligator very impulsively, you should also skip it. In other words, this is quite an unsafe situation in the market that won't bring us any profit. Most likely, we'll just end up losing money. Here too, the price broke through our levels, so from this point on, we can't work with it anymore. But on this currency pair, we can see one entry point, a second entry point, and here we could have opened several trades as well. Plus, there were a couple more entry points here. So in total, we could have opened between 3 and 6 trades in a very short period of time. There are plenty of situations like this in the market, but the best thing is if you find exactly this kind of movement. Just take a look. This segment right here, accordingly, everything that happened before us doesn't matter, and everything that happened after us doesn't matter either. Right here, we could have very safely opened just 2 trades, but those would have been truly safe trades. That's why these kinds of movements, which have a good upward or downward trend, are especially valuable. And here's another example. Right here, there was a good trade for selling, then another one, and another, and another. And here too, we could have entered a sell trade. After that, the structure broke and we couldn't trade anymore. So on a single currency pair, you can find about 20 or even up to 50 entry points in a day. On the US dollar/Japanese yen, the price enters our range. So look, first I check the direction of the currency pair and set an upward trend. Next, I observe that the price gradually enters the range that is situated between the green and orange lines, and since that's in the direction of our overall trend, meaning upward, I can confidently open my buy trade at this point. We have a pretty nice upward movement here. Of course, there were some breakouts, but since these 2 lines have now narrowed, and as a result, we can expect a fairly strong and quite pleasant bounce overall. As you can see, the price went into a deep correction and only bounced back from there. Unfortunately, I wasn't lucky with this trade, just by a few seconds. If I had entered 1 second later, I would have been in profit. But let's not get upset. After all, the statistics for this indicator are very good, so we'll cover this loss now with the trade for $1,500. Australian dollar Swiss franc. I'm opening my buy trade. Look, we have an emerging upward movement here, meaning the price broke through our downward trend and an uptrend has started. Next, I look at this segment. We didn't manage to enter while the price was still in correction, so we don't open trades then. But since the price is already broken out at this moment, we consider this a new entry point for a trade. Accordingly, from here you can open a buy trade. Let's watch this trade, and let me remind you once again that the settings for this indicator are waiting for you at the link in the description. So go ahead and grab the settings for this indicator. I close this trade and get a nice profit of $1,400. So I cover my loss and even make almost twice as much on top of that. As you can see, there's really nothing particularly complicated or difficult about this indicator at all. You just need to practice using it a bit to get comfortable. If you set it up correctly and carefully repeat all the necessary settings, you really won't get a ton of entry points, but the ones you do get will be pretty safe and reliable. You need to look for exactly these kinds of price movements. This right here is also a very good example. Sure, there were some breakouts here, but we can see that the price often reacted quite well from our entry zone. So once again, our zone is between the green and orange lines. The best trades will come from this area. The win rate of this indicator is about 90%. So if you want to work just as easily, set up your chart. Please get the indicator settings from the link provided in the description below for your convenience, and accordingly, you can use this trading strategy. It only works on the regular market. One downside is that sometimes we don't have a lot of entry points. So you might go through the whole market and not find a single entry point. But that's the price we pay for safety, because the win rate is really high for the number of trades we get. Yes, we won't have many trades, but all of them will be safe. So right now, follow the link in the description, join our Telegram channel, and grab the settings for this indicator from there. They'll bring you profit. The link is in the description. With that, I'll say goodbye for now. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.